Hello everybody, I am the Helpful Witch, and today I want to discuss how I think the game will end. As always, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe and comment down below your theories on what you think will happen, so that you can say that you called the ending before the game even released. And now let's jump straight into the video. Okay, we really don't know much about the game ending, because of course they wanted to keep this secret, but also usually most of the trailers that we see for any game show mostly what will happen in the beginning compared to the ending. So this is going to be a bit more difficult than my previous video, but I will try to do my best guess, especially using what we know about the Harry Potter lore in general, what they've done before, and what they will probably try to avoid, and what the motivation behind our characters' action will be. Now, one of the big hints we've seen is actually about the Battle of Hogwarts. We've seen this during one of the behind-the-scene videos, and we know so that there is most likely going to be a Battle of Hogwarts. However, one of the main things I'm struggling with is why in this scenario anybody would want to destroy Hogwarts. So that's one of the things I'm trying to keep in mind as I'm thinking about what will happen. And we also know that there is a lot of different actions and choices that we can make during the game that will impact our ending. So we can speculate that there is probably going to be different endings, although I definitely think we have a couple of options, which is either that there is multiple endings but we only have one canon ending, or where I think it's more likely, which is that a lot of different endings will actually result in the same exact things happening, but the main difference would be in the decision that we make that will impact the characters rather than the actual event of things. So maybe we'll have a person that gets away with something, or a person that is annoyed about something, or a person that is angry with us, or that decides to go into the dark side or into the good side or whatever. But I don't think that the results ultimately will change. So if Hogwarts get destroyed, Hogwarts will get destroyed regardless, or if Hogwarts stays intact, Hogwarts stays intact regardless, basically. So I think whatever decision in general they have decided to take with the ending, I think that will be reflected across all of the different endings, although we might get to it by different means. Now, I'm saying this not because I don't think they're going to do a good job with the ending. I think they will. My only thing is that because we have a lot of lore established after all of these events, and there is no real mention of Hogwarts being destroyed previously in another very big battle, then most likely, yes, this could be forgotten, like they say, or most likely Hogwarts doesn't get destroyed to a level that I'm thinking of, which is basically completely destroyed, nothing ever exists ever again, but more of something that can be repaired, so the damage is technically minimal. Anything that does get broken can actually get repaired, rather than really having to completely rebuild Hogwarts from the ground up. So again, I think they need to strike a very thin balance between giving us something new and something fresh, but also ensuring that everything is compatible with the lore of the Harry Potter world that has already been established. Hence why I think everything that we will do will ultimately be the same across the two different endings, two or more. If even there is basically two endings, I think again, it's mostly going to be the characters rather than the actual impact of the buildings or things that we will be able to see in the Harry Potter world. Now, I say this also because the game developers have made a comment that stuck with me for a while, which is about the fact that when they reread the Harry Potter books or rewatch the films, they feel very familiar into environment, so familiar in fact that they actually know what things are around the corner. So maybe they'd be looking into Hogsmeade and they know exactly what will be around the corner of Three Broomsticks and so on. They also mentioned that they, looking again in the environment, know why things are the way they are. So possibly one of the things that strikes to mind for me is the main different passages around Hogwarts. So one of the impacts we could have around the environment is, for example, destroying some of these passageway or actually creating them. So when Harry speaks with the twins about the different passageway that are shown into the Marauders map, actually an explanation for these passages could be the fact that we created them or we destroyed them. So I think a lot of the repercussions we will experience in these games is actually going to be lived in the Harry Potter books and films as well. So some of the decisions we will make will have an impact into the things that we see into those environments, and that will get then carried over for years on end. I think we'll have lots of nods to the books and films as well. For example, some of the books in the Forbidden Library sections could be books that we actually use or bring into Hogwarts. Or creatures in the Forbidden Forest, something that we maybe introduce or help save. Maybe again the centaurs, we help establish this relationship with them, or instead make them more wary about the humans. Or as I said, different passages or paintings in the books or films that we've seen, actually maybe we'll be able to interact with them or move them around, or the decor around the castle, things that Harry notices in the books, in the description. Again, these were things I think that we'll be able to see and experience and also have an impact on, that will then get translated into what we've actually already experienced through the books and the films. One of the easy examples I think is actually going to be the spiders and the controversy that it is about the fact that we know from Hagrid's times that he was the first one to introduce acromantulas into the Forbidden Forest. But I think we might be able to explain this by the fact that maybe towards the end we'll be able to drive all of the giant spiders off of the Forbidden Forest or defeat them. Maybe they will fight into this Battle of Hogwarts and we'll be able to defeat them and send them away to destroy them, so that the Forbidden Forest will actually end up being free of all of the spiders, and therefore it will actually be true that Hagrid does introduce the acromantulas into the Forbidden Forest. It is true that there were no acromantula before him, but not ever. It just means that there were no acromantula before him between us arriving and destroying all the giant spiders and him reintroducing them back in his times at Hogwarts. So I think there is a way for them to explain a lot of the incongruities or get away with different things from already established lore. But I definitely think that, for example, this about the acromantulas, I think regardless of what path you take, if one of the things that we'll do towards the end is to get rid of all of these giant spiders, this will happen across, I'm saying both as in the good and the bad, or like dark arts and not dark arts playthrough, right? So we will have the same ending in terms of the acromantulas will get depleted, will go away from the forest, but we will use different means to do it. So this is a way that they can have the same outcome but have very different methods of actually achieving it, still being congruent with the Harry Potter lore. So now we've seen why I think there is not going to be a huge amount of differences between the different playthroughs ending in terms of facts, but yes, there will be difference between the motivations. That's what I want to discuss next. The main person that I want to discuss is Ranrok, of course. He's going to be the big bad, and his motivation, I think, is going to be pretty simple and pretty clear. He wants to get possession of the ancient magic. He wants to be able to yield it, and he wants to be able to use it for his own, wants. He wants to be able to use it and be able to control the wizarding kind and be able to make sure that the goblins are actually more powerful than the wizarding kind. We've seen that a couple of his bases are underground, and I think that again ties in with the fact that the goblins have a lot of skills in being able to cast the various magical metal items. So I think all of the armors that are wearing are clearly enchanted, and I think kind of like the swords of Gryffindor, I think his main motivation is basically to have his armor being able to take on the power of ancient magic. The swords of Gryffindor we've seen in the books and in the films that can actually get stronger by taking on the magical properties of anything that it comes across. So for example, it's able to take the basilisk properties when Harry kills the basilisks in the Chamber of Secrets. So I believe Ranrok's armor will have a similar potency. So he'll be able to actually get our ancient magic power by either offing us or, for example, by using an artifact that only we can unlock. So that's why he wants to reach us. So either to take on our power or to have us unlock an artifact that he really needs to be able to unlock this ancient magic in his armor. Hence why I still don't think that Hogwarts will get completely destroyed, because he doesn't have a vengeance against Hogwarts like Voldemort did. Voldemort had a really personal vengeance against Hogwarts because he wanted to become a master, he wanted to be powerful and teach all of the kids what he wanted so that they would be his followers, right? But Ranrok does not have that same interest. Ranrok doesn't necessarily care about Hogwarts. He hasn't been to Hogwarts, he didn't grow up with Hogwarts being a big part of his life, right? While instead we know that Voldemort was very similar to Harry in terms of he really felt like Hogwarts was his home. He asked Dumbledore to spend his summers there. He really did not want to go back to his normal life. So he had a significance for Hogwarts being a very important place for him, but Ranrok really doesn't. So I think, again, Hogwarts is just a mean to an end. He just wants to get to us, so if we're protected by the people in Hogwarts, then that's where he will make an attack on Hogwarts. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that Hogwarts get destroyed, because that's not his goal. His goal is taking possession of this ancient magic, so his main reason is that and not destroying Hogwarts. I think also we'll be able to see what actually happened to Gringotts before there were goblins managing it. Gringotts was not actually managed by goblins at that point, I don't think, because as they said in a couple of blog posts and so on, why would there be all these goblin rebellions if we didn't really have any laws in place with the goblins? So I think, again, we'll be able to see maybe Gringotts being taken over by Ranrok and his followers, and that might actually be towards the end a way of actually introducing the goblins to Gringotts and making a deal with them. So possibly it would be, regardless of what you choose, that goblins will end up taking care of Gringotts, as we've seen, right? So it would just differ in terms of how do you get to that goal. So if the goal is always that goblins will get to Gringotts, maybe it's because you force them, or maybe it's because you actually make a deal with them, you know? So again, I think we will have those two choices, whether to maybe work with the Ministry of Magic to actually get the goblins on our side, or force the goblins to work into Gringotts. One of the main focuses we've seen, sometimes even more than just the ancient magic, has been the dark arts. We've said many times that the dark arts are going to play a big role, and they've talked about the fact that you can live your dark lore fantasies, right? It's going to be very interesting to see how they navigate the different dark arts with the moral judgment and moral compass. This is because already in 1717, all of the unforgivable curses were already being outlawed, and the punishment was actually going into Azkaban already. Therefore, we know that already probably 100 years prior, we couldn't have done all of these unforgivable curses. So it's going to be interesting how they deal with that, because we're still a 16-year-old doing them, right? So I think there's going to be a bit more gray area, because we have people actually going and coming against us. And like Sebastian says, are we really doing something bad if we're using them to protect ourselves? So I think there's going to be that main argument of us basically trying to protect ourselves, hence why we're using them. Regardless, I think they're going to be a lot more lenient than we've seen in the previous Harry Potter books and films, where these curses were just impossible to do, and Harry doesn't even have enough strength to do the Crucial curse. So I think basically we will actually be able to do them a bit more easily, and also will be judged a bit more leniently. However, I definitely think we'll have an option at the end to basically decide to defeat Ranrok in different ways, whether it's by finishing him off, or for example sending him to Azkaban. So we will choose at the end whether, I guess, maybe other people will see us using these unforgivable curses, maybe the ministry and so on, or whether we'll actually just kind of not do it, go around it, so just say yes, take him off to Azkaban, or have somebody else off him so that we are not actually responsible. I think we will also have the choice whether try and take control of Hogwarts ourselves, or go on in our own way. This is meant to be our legacy, so we're meant to be able to establish, our own path, and possibly maybe just even going off on our own, possibly a bit like Merlin and being a bit of a solitary wizard, but that is very powerful, or even be able to take over Hogwarts and start spreading the knowledge of ancient magic. So being able to ensure other people can use it, or we could keep it a secret. I think there is a lot of different ways. What I'm really struggling with is figuring out the motivation of why a 16-year-old would want to take over Hogwarts. That is the only thing that I can't really explain to myself, or also wanting to kill all these people. I'm really struggling to see that as a clear motivation for a character. So this is where I really want to hear from you. What do you think our motivation will be? What would be our motivation, especially if we're going to go down this really dark path, right? Is it just that we're going to have such a tragic backstory that we would want to take it over on the words, so we just want to make other people feel what we felt, and this is why we're just angry and bitter? Or what other reasons we will have to kill all these people? I really want to know what you think and what our motivation is going to be in your opinion. So overall, I think what will happen is that Ranrok just wants to get to us to get this ancient magic. We're going to try to defend ourselves. If we have been nice to other people, these people are gonna fight with us. Possibly instead, if we're being mean to them, maybe even Hogwarts will be against us. And so there will be both Ranrok and Hogwarts, both against us. We will see what will happen, but this is the best speculation I could do with the very little information we had. So we will see how much I got right and how much I got wrong. I really want to hear your thoughts, and I want to know if you enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave me a like, and if you want to stick around for more videos from me, please subscribe down below. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much again for joining me for another video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!